Hello, everybody. It is Tuesday, and what day is it? December 12th. We are in the countdown to Christmas. And today we are going to be making some really cute little goodie boxes that you are going to want to make, stuff them in a stocking or put them on your table as favors. They're fun. Excuse me. So if this is your first time watching, my name is Joanne Rogers. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Central Alberta, Canada, and I've been designing with you in mind since 1999. And today, I want to talk a little bit about what's happening on Thursday, because on Thursday, we are having free shipping. So Stampin' Up! Is offering free shipping again all day, 24 hours on a minimum $100 Canadian order. So it's the perfect time for you to stock up on all of those things that you used up when you were creating your Christmas greetings, or maybe you're still creating your Christmas greetings. Excuse me, I seem to have a big old frog. So that means you can save on paper, on adhesive, cardstock, ribbons, embellishments, all of those things. And also don't forget that the last chance list is still out there. There's still items that are 40% off, like what we're going to be using today. Okay, so I'm going to turn you down. Now just before I do that, if you are a customer of mine, meaning that you have purchased items of $75 or more in the last year, so in 2023, then you're going to automatically get in the mail, or I'm going to drop them off to your house, these catalogs. I don't even have them yet, but that is my plan. And it's usually in the week between Christmas and New Year's, because then you have a little bit of time to sit down and wander through them, don't you? And I have to say, I am really enjoying both of these catalogs. I have my stuff here that I pre-ordered, and I'm just starting to play with it, but it's always so much fun to move out of the Christmas mode, out of those greens and those reds and sometimes all the golds and things, into some fresh spring colors. So if you are currently a customer, know that you are automatically going to get these. If you are not, and you would like to be a customer of mine, meaning that you currently do not already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would love to send you these catalogs. All I ask is that you pay for the postage, and you can message me at joe@designwithjoe.ca, and I am happy to send them out to you once they arrive. Okay, so I'm going to put those to the side, and I am waiting on a second pre-order, and that second pre-order has, you may have seen it with some other demonstrators, those in the States who already have theirs. It's a glass mat, and I'm really looking forward to playing with that glass mat. And it's a surface that you can do all kinds of things on. And if you sign up as a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator during celebration, which is January, February, then you will automatically receive that you can make a choice. You don't have to take it if you don't want, but you will get that as your welcome gift. And it is fabulous. We don't know that they're going to be available for sale after. We haven't been told that they're going to be. So that sometimes indicates no, it's not going to happen. Okay, I'm going to turn you down, and we are going to start creating. I usually always ask you a question. So how about your question today is, how many of you already have all of your cards in the mail? They're in the post box. They're at the post office. You don't even have to worry about them. Okay, so we are going to be using, again, the Sending Cheer stamp set and the dies. Now, you don't have to use this set of dies for this, for what we're going to be doing today. You can use anything that you have at home, but these ones are super cute. So I think that you are going to enjoy what we create with them today and the sample that I have to show you. I can still see that I'm a little bit crooked. Let me straighten myself out here. And let me know once I get to the right place. I have to be on tippy toes to do this. So I'm hoping that I'm going the right way. I always go the wrong way. Okay, so we are going to be actually creating with the stocking today. And I did ask, see, I did go the wrong way. I did ask the VI Peeps. Now, the VI Peeps is our group of stampers who are on, it's a Facebook group, and they always get to pick things that we're going to use for the live. So they picked that we are going to work with some of the shimmery, well, they didn't know it was shimmery white, but the embossing paste. So the choice was between gilded leafing and embossing paste. And so we are using the shimmery embossing embossing paste, and we're going to put that onto our stocking, and I want to show you how to use it and that it actually dries fairly quickly. So we're going to use that in just a minute. We're also going to be cutting out we're going to make a stocking today. We're going to be cutting that out. So I have that pulled off to the side, and I already have the stocking already stamped, ready to go on my stamp. Okay. Excuse me. So first of all, what we're going to do is we are going to stamp our stocking. Now I do need to get just a piece of white here because I forgot. And we are going to be working with cherry cobbler. So cherry cobbler is one of my favorite reds, especially for this time of year. I'm going to pull in my Stampin' Pierce mat, which I've covered with a getting pretty ugly looking, I need a clean one, grid paper on here. And we're using this because with your photopolymer stamps, they don't have any give to them. They don't have any foam or anything to actually give them that little bit of give to create a really good impression. So we approximate that using something that has got a little bit of that going for it. So this is just a piece of our thick basic white, and I'm going to really ink it up well. Now this is a solid image, and if I just went once, it's not going to probably be really fully covered. So what I want to do is I want to really stamp it around in a couple different spots before I stamp it onto my paper. And when I stamp it on my paper, I'm going to leave it in place for just a little bit of time. So once I stamp it down, leave it in place before you lift it off. And I would give yourself maybe 3, 4, 5 seconds because that's going to give you a better impression. Then hold your paper, because this is going to be fairly sticky, and lift it off. And that's going to probably give you a much better impression. And if you let it sit there a little bit of time, it's actually going to even improve. The ink is going to improve even more. But we're going to cut ours out. So I'm going to place the die over top. So one thing when you're stamping the stocking on this particular one, you want to leave room at the top on your scrap paper so that you don't run out of room once you cut this out. So let me grab my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine and pull that in. And I also need a couple little pieces of my tape. And my tape I use over and over again, and it just loses its stick eventually, but that's not happening for a while yet. Okay, so we want to glue or position that, I guess, on top of our plates. So we have our large plate, our number 1. We have our number 2 plate, which is the thin die adapter, what it used to be called. And then we have 2 of our number 3 plates. And I always like to put my item in between the plates. That's going to give you the best result. And then just run that through your emboss machine. It'll make a little bit of noise, and you'll probably have noticed that when you have a larger die, a die that has a lot more space in the middle of it, it makes lots of that crackling noises. So we're done with that. Put that aside. And we're just going to punch out our stocking. So there's our stocking. Now we're going to use our embossing paste. And let me just grab my silicone craft sheet as well. So when we're putting on our paste, we want to use one of our palette knives. And I find that I like this shape of palette knife the best, partly because it's not so small here. This one I almost find to be just a little bit, let me pull that out a bit, just a little bit too narrow at the very tip. This one has a little bit more, but it's not so fat. There are different uses for these ones, for using different, putting on a different background. But for what we're doing today, I'm going to use this one. So what you want to do, this comes in a plastic bag. And I've already, here it is over here. So I keep mine in the plastic bag sealed. And the idea is that we want to keep this away from air as much as possible. And by that, I mean we don't want it to dry out. So when you open it, it's got a, it doesn't just pop off, it actually screws off. I leave this little foam kind of topper in place. and just pull it off somewhere here. There we go. Just pull it off as I'm using it. And then what we have inside is sort of this goopy, kind of messy stuff. And the goopy stuff has little bits of glitter in it. And it's fairly wet. So if you have some embossing paste, it can be the shimmery like this, or it can be plain, just a regular one, hanging around. And if it doesn't look like this, when you open it up, then you can try and add a little bit of distilled water to it and stir it up, and that might reconstitute it again. For now, mine is in great shape. It's not that old, and I really do keep it, so I try and keep it as much as possible away from the air to dry it out. We don't want it to dry out. And now I'm just going to take a little bit of that, and I'm going to put it right over top of the, it's not a snowflake, and I'm going to sort of squish it around everywhere. And if I get it onto the silicone craft sheet, that's okay because I can lift that off. I'm going to give myself a good amount here. Now this does dry fairly quickly. I'm going to leave that little tag in place for now. And then what I also cut out from the same set of dies is one of our hearts. And I'm going to stick that heart right into the paste. That's what I'm trying to say. And it will stick in there and stay and be permanent. But it gives you another three-dimensional item. Okay, so we're going to leave that. We're going to set it aside. I'm going to package this back up, put what I didn't use back inside. Always make sure you do this. And make sure if you are using your palette knives that you clean them off. So I'm just going to grab a wet one to do that. If you are putting this on top of a die or something, then you want to clean off your die right away under running water. And I'm just going to clean off my silicone craft sheet at the same time. Pop this back into my bag. Now this will last for quite a while, but you really do want to keep that air out of there. Okay, now we're going to set that aside to dry. I'm going to put it out of the way so that I don't stick my finger in it. Okay, so now let's get on to the making of the box. So this box has two pieces, and I like to have a different color on the bottom than I do on the top. And I've matched the bottom to our stocking, and the top is going to be white. And I'm going to pull in my Stampin' Trimmer, and we're going to do the same measurements on both of these pieces of paper. And all of the cutting measurements are going to be on my blog tomorrow. And we want to score this all the way around. We're going to score it at 3/4 of an inch all the way around. So you can either go to 3/4 on the left side of your channel, or you can go to 3/4 on the right side of the channel. It's up to you. So you just put that in. So this is just thick basic white. Now we want to make sure we're using our scoring blade, which is the lighter taupe one, and not the cutting blade. So just make sure that one's out of the way. And then give that a good score and go all the way around. So I'm going at 3/4 of an inch all the way around. And you want to try your best to get this measured up exactly at the 3/4 of an inch. And you want to make sure that you cut your paper to be as exact as possible. I'm going to do the bottom at the same time. So this time I'll use the right side. So I'm going to measure it up here to 3/4 of an inch. Now, if you have a simply scored tool, which is what I tend to use most of the time when I'm not live, it makes it go, I think, even quicker. And I leave my simply scored tool out all the time, so it's accessible for me to use it. So this is probably the most time-consuming part of this, but you want to get that scored all the way around. Okay? Now, before you do any cutting or any scoring, what we want to do is we want to create a little finger hold on the top of the box. So I just have my 1 3/4 inch circle punch. You can use really any punch that you have will do the same thing. So what I'm doing is I'm going in between my score lines here, and I'm going to try and just eyeball that. And you do not have to get this exact. If it's not exact, don't worry about it. And then I take maybe about 1/4 of an inch off and do the same thing on the other side. And again, I'm just eyeballing it there, looking for about 1/4 of an inch, and then we're done with that punch. So now what we want to do is take our bone folder and we want to fold along everything, and then we want to really firm it up. Now it's up to you. Sometimes I cut first and I burnish second. Today, for some reason, I am cutting second and burnishing first. So really, there's no difference if you want to do one or the other. So we're doing both of them exactly the same. And we're going to take our paper snips and we are going to cut along that score line just up to where it intersects with the other score line. But get it right to the top there. There we go. And again on this side. Then you want to turn it 180 degrees and do the exact same thing. Now you could wedge those if you want, but I'm not going to. So same thing on the white one. And these pieces of cardstock are exactly the same size, but I've got a trick that I want to show you when we put it together. Okay, so that part is done. We're going to do the bottom first, and we're going to use our liquid glue. So pull in your liquid glue, and you're going to bring up the short end, and you're going to pull in the little flaps. Okay, so they are going to go in the middle. And the reason why is because this will create a nice edge to our box. If we put them like this, we are going to have a little bit of a rough edge, and we don't want that. So a little bit of glue on both of these tabs on the inside of the tabs. And then place it down onto your work surface and then just bring this straight edge here and line it up with the edge of the box. Press it together just for a little moment to get that glue activated, drying a little bit. And then do the same thing on this side. So just on the inside of the flaps. And you don't need to have a huge amount of glue because it's going to gush out just a little bit. And do the exact same thing. Line it right up with that edge. Give it a nice sort of press together. Okay, and we've got the bottom of our box. Now I have today some turtles that are going to fit in there perfectly. And you can fit a bunch of different things in here, but I measured it so that the turtles will fit in there perfectly. So you're going to put your goodie inside, and now we are going to do the outside of the box. So we're going to put together exactly in the same way. Glue on the outside edge, line up your edges. We're going to do one side and get that sort of put together, and then we're going to do the other side. And before the other side is completely dry, we want to put this on top of the bottom of the box. And it's going to form, it may need to actually move just slightly for us to get it on there. So while it's still wet, put it in here. Make sure your bottom of the box goes in. See how it forms. Go around the edges. Okay, and this way you're going to get a perfect fit on your box. Now, that one almost looks like I cut it just a teensiest bit too small, but it will work. It will go down, so just let that glue set up. Okay, and then when we lift it off, we use the finger holds to lift it off. Okay, so let's get to decorating our boxes now. So we have, look at that, I put it out of the way and then I put my glue on top of it. So that's still drying. We are going to, while we're waiting, we are going to stamp on here with our Old Olive. And I have our no peeking. So our no peeking is here. And it's going to go over top. And I'm going to use the double oval. Now I'm going to end up cutting out an oval, a white oval, which I'll just have to save for something else because we are not going to be using that oval for anything. Not today anyway. Okay, so now we've got our words. Now I've cut myself one of these in Old Olive, and it is the largest of the banner dies from the Nested Die Essentials. So I've cut that out, and then I've also run it through the Cheery Patterns embossing folders. Now these Cheery Patterns embossing folders are still available in the last chance list, so you can still pick them up, but they are going. So there are two. There's this round pattern, which I really like. Let me grab the other one. And I have used this one, but I have not used this one quite as much. It's got sort of little wavy broken lines on it. You see if you can see that. Grab a piece of cardstock here. Okay, so there you can see the lines a little bit better. So those are the two that come in the package, and we use the round ones today. So I have just one of these. Now we could do this a bunch of different ways. We could put this on top like this and just have it be sort of a decorative part, but I sort of like that it's off to the side and just a little bit quirky. So we are going to just glue this right on top of the box using our liquid glue. So just give myself some liquid glue. Now you can decorate these boxes however you like. If you wanted to use designer paper on top of them, that would be just fine. We are going to put our words on here, and we're also going to put on our, I do really want to call this a snowflake. I don't know why. Our stocking. But what am I looking for? I am looking for some of this first or this. Now you get to choose what we want to work with here. Do we want to use some baker's twine? And this is the parakeet party, so it's not exactly the same color. Or we could use some of the sweet sorbet if we want it, or we can use both of those actually, or we could go for some of the twine. This is called threaded twine, and it has silver thread running through it. So put into the comments which one you would like to see, and I'll just double check here what you guys might want. So go ahead and put it into the comments. Let me know. I do need to go get myself a bigger hole punch because this is thicker twine. Actually, I don't. It's right here. So I've got my old crocodile. How many people have a crocodile just sitting doing nothing? I'm going to cut the bigger hole out of the crocodile. So these were great. We carried, this is the Stampin' Up! One years ago, and I can't even remember how long it was, but it will cut a larger circle and a little bit smaller circle, but it will set your rivets and things like that too, your eyelets. So we are going to take this off. It's still got a little bit of time. It needs to dry there. I am going to go for, I want to create a little bow here, I think. So I'm going to go for about that much, and I'll measure it once we have it cut. I know, I should measure it first, shouldn't I? But let's live on the edge. So here's our ruler. So 12 inches and another 8. So I've got about 20 inches of the twine, and I want to go around this side here. And just tie it in a knot, first of all. And I'm going to put on my no peeking. Now, I don't know, maybe I won't get a bow out of this. Maybe it'll be just too big. Put on the no peeking. And then our bow. And there we go. That's not too bad, actually. Okay. There's our no peeking. We are going to have to probably give that a little bit of something. So right now, it's just around the whole box. I'm not gluing it on or anything so that they can just pull this off when they want to use it. And then I think I'm going to take this little tag off. So the little tag comes off just with a little cut. Because this is still a little bit wet, I'm going to wipe my scissors also and get any of that off. Now I do have one here that is dried already so that you can see it a little bit better. So this is what it's going to look like when it's done. It's got little tiny sparkles in it, and it also looks like it's sort of a little bit snowy. So, but I'm going to put this one on. But before we do that, I think maybe we need some sparklies on there. And how about, let's do iridescent rhinestones today. So I think maybe I'm going to glue that on first. I'm going to put it on with dimensionals. Now, normally I would put my dimensionals onto the back here. Well, maybe I can. I just don't want to put it upside down because that is not completely dry. Now it's almost dry. It is almost dry, but I don't want to squish it. So I'm going to take them off this way. Maybe. No, I think it needs to go that way. Okay, and how about some of these guys? So let's put, I'm going to put one right up here on the heart. We're going to put one on the no peeking because I used the two smaller ones. Okay, so there's your box. And let me pull in the one that I made in advance. So this is the one I made in advance. Similar kind of idea, except this is going the opposite way. I used the glitter sequins, which are no longer available. And then I just put on, this was the Santa, we had created this Santa hat a little bit ago. And I just put on some Wink of Stella just to give it a little bit of a fancying up. So let me know which one of those you like the best. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.